Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we have the pleasure of reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 74, the deliverance of Shishupal, beginning with text number 44. Thank you all for being here. Shabda kohalo chashich Shishupale hate mahan Tasya anu yayino bhupa druvir vur jivi taishinaha. So this is the climax of the scene. Shishupal is there insulting the Lord. How many insults did he have? What was his quota? What was the quota that was given?
100.
Yes. Actually, it's described that he has previously he would insult Krishna, but he would stop at 97 or 98. And Krishna this time was warning him, "Hey, you're gonna go past your quota." He was, and Bhima was there also. Bhima was so furious; he was just ready to kill him. His face became to look like the Lord of Death. And then the great general Bhishma Dev, he grabbed Bhima's, with his mighty arms, he grabbed Bhishma Dev, and he said, no, no, no. He said, look, Krishna's smiling. He's going to do something. He's going to do something. Just wait. Look at Krishna's face there. He's smiling. Just. And as you already know, Shishupal specifically waited for this ceremony to not only them to choose Krishna, but for them to worship Krishna and then complete worshiping Krishna and then begin basically the activities of the ceremony. And so his idea was, let me ruin the whole thing. Not before, because then they could just they can question it, they can change it. So not before, not after, but in the middle. It's like, let me just ruin this entire ceremony. And as you already know, I said, Krishna was considering that if there is a great battle, then the whole ceremony will be ruined by the blood of the battle. Just like when you have a wedding, you have all these yajnas, everything must be very, very clean. You might have heard of the story of the cat in the basket. There was a wedding, and there was a cat wandering around near the yajna, and the priest said, take that cat, put it in a basket. And then the priest came again to the same village, and he told them the same thing. Put the cat in a basket. We can't have him going around the yajna. It spoils the atmosphere. It becomes muchi. It doesn't have that suchi, that cleanliness atmosphere. And then later on, it actually became like a type of tradition. When they had a wedding in that village, they thought, how can we have this wedding? We need a cat. Someone get a cat and put it in a basket. This is a part of the ceremony. No, not part of the ceremony, but there is the important part of the ceremony was cleanliness. So Krishna was thinking, it's gonna ruin the entire ceremony. So let me resolve this situation. So thus Krishna took out his Sudarshan chakra, and he stood up and dispatched his Sudarshan chakra, cutting off the head of Shishupal. No blood was there, not even a drop of blood came out from the killing of Shishupal. And thus the ceremony, everything remained sanctified. So here we are. When Shishupal, verse number 44, when Shishupal was thus killed, a great roar and howl went up from the crowd. Taking advantage of that disturbance, a few kings who were supporters of Shishupal quickly left the assembly out of fear for their lives. So that's a good cue to leave if you're not on Krishna's side. Shishupal was described, he was actually like a lion. Even though Bhima, who is appearing as the god of death, is ferociously ready to tear him to pieces. And you hear some of the fight scenes of the Mahabharata. Bhima fought this Kshatriya who was making advances at Draupadi, and they couldn't say, "What? Wait, where is the head? Where is the arm?" He is just kind of a ball of flesh. And then similarly, he fought a Rakshasa, and he also tore him to pieces. So Bhima is, as you watch in Marvel, but they don't make it as gory. But he was like the Hulk, immensely powerful. The Mahabharata becomes it's more graphic, more it's past the PG-13 level. So this is purport just says it's the above translation is taken from Srila Prabhupada's Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. So yes, Shishupal, he was not even afraid of Bhima. He was just shouting all these insults. And as you've heard before, just as with Shishupal, just as with Indra, just as with even Rukmini, there's what is called Saraswati art, means artha, means the meaning that is given by Saraswati. So Shishupal, by the power of Saraswati, speaks double meanings, that his insults are glorifications, or even Rukmini shows how Krishna's insults towards himself are glorifications, or Indra's insults. He's just a child. He blah blah. He's speaking about Krishna when Krishna told them not to do the Indra Yagya. The Saraswati art was in effect, and he was saying all these things that had double meanings. And so, same thing we find earlier. Text number 45. Chaitya deho titam jyotir vasudevam upavishat pashatam sarva bhutanam utkeva bhuri kvachachchita. The effulgent light rose from Shishupal's body. Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that light actually went up towards the sky. It was going up towards Vaikuntha Loka. But then considering that Vaikuntha Loka and Lord Sri Krishna are identical, it came down back like maybe you've seen like videos of comets, like a pitch. Sometimes there's film of a comet coming down at night, breaking through the atmosphere, or like some big asteroid coming through and it's like this brilliant scene. And so, okay, so here it says, as everyone watched, he entered Lord Krishna like a meteor falling from the sky to the earth. So first, the jiva, the soul, went up in this brilliant form, and then he came down like this giant meteor that was lighting up the entire sky during the daytime. Just brilliant. Purport. In this connection, the Acharyas remind us that Shishupal is actually one of the Lord's eternal associates playing the part of a belligerent demon. Thus, most of the observers, it appeared that Shishupal achieved impersonal liberation, emerging into Lord Krishna's bodily effulgence. In fact, after being liberated from his mortal frame, Shishupal returned to the side of his master, the Supreme Lord of the spiritual world. The following verse explains this. This is text number 46. Janma Trayanu Gunita Vaira Samram Tayadiya Jayantan Mayatam Yato Bhavo Hi Bhavakarana. Obsessed with hatred with Lord Krishna throughout 3 lifetimes, Shishupal attained the Lord's transcendental nature. Indeed, one's consciousness determines one's future birth. What verse is in the Bhagavad Gita? One's consciousness determines one's future birth. Krishna Chandra is thinking.
Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam
Yeah. Yes. And then there's a few, it continues for a few. The first one, yam vapi smaran. Smaran means to remember. Bhavan, then you become what you remember. And you have the classic example of the wasp and this type of worm or type of bug that lives in a tree, and the wasp comes and he enters that hole and he kills and attacks that worm, or sometimes even lays eggs to leave that worm to be food for its eggs. And the worm is in such fear and such absorption, such a terrible, he's in such terror that in his next life he becomes a wasp by that meditation. Purport. Shishupal and his friend Dantavraka, who will be killed by Krishna in chapter 78, were previously Jai and Vijay, gatekeepers in Vaikuntha. Because of an offense, the four Kumaras cursed them to take birth in the material world as demons. The first birth was Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So we will ask, well, other than just the pastime, because these two demons, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, appear whenever Krishna appears. But it's not that Jai and Vijay are falling down as gatekeepers in the spiritual world, according to Rupa Goswami's Brihad Laghu Bhagavatam. It's not that they come every time, but the appearance of these two demons appear. So Hiranyakashipu appears and his brother Hiranyaksha, and they're killed by Lord Nrsimha. Hiranyakashipu is killed by Lord Nrsimha, and Varaha is killed by Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha gets killed by Varaha. But why isn't that he's liberated? Because in these pastimes, we find that it's not always the story of Jai and Vijay. It's you find in the Vishnu Puran the same pastime is there. They don't mention anything about Jai and Vijay. Is Nrsimhadev the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Question: is this Nrsimhadev the Supreme Personality of Godhead? My question: yes, no? Who says yes? Are we sure? Nobody's saying anything. Plenary portion. What does that mean, plenary portion?
It's excuse me. Pardon me. It's a chincha to a certain degree. It's a portion that has all of the characteristics.
So plenary means it
complete.
When I first heard the word plenary, I thought it meant the opposite of the actual meaning. So plenary means complete. It means kind of the opposite of portion. It means complete. And they describe that there's various levels of different forms. You have Prabhav, Vaibhav. Sometimes these terms, depending on, there's also other categories that it goes under, but this is one example. The Mohini, Dhanvantari, Hamsa, Vyas, Shukla, these are Prabhav avatars. And then you have Vaibhav, who display more power than these Prabhavs, or Matsya, Kurma, Narayan, Narnarayan, Varaha, Haishirsha, Prishnigarbha, Balabhadra. And then there's the most powerful forms, are three in number. And those are Nrsimha, Rama, and Krishna. And they're called Paravasta. Paravasta, most power. But the question is, okay, if Nrsimha is the Paravasta, his manifestation, just like Lord Ram, is a manifestation of the most powerful in successive order. Why wasn't Hiranyakashipu liberated when he was killed by Nrsimhadev? Because isn't this the same being? This is a different being? Is it the same being? What's going on?
Hare Krishna. He has to keep his vrat, and he's respected for that.
Yeah, but as mentioned in the Laghu Bhagavatam, the story of the Vishnu Puran does not include the story of Jai and Vijay. So there's something else happening that's so oftentimes, like Laghu Bhagavatam is actually coming to the conclusion that Krishna is the Amshi, he is the source of all forms. And this is approached in different ways. Oftentimes, the way it's approached is not only Krishna's position, but Krishna's effect on others and how Krishna relates to others. So Hiranyakashipu, although he certainly had enmity towards Nrsimhadev, he was not absorbed in the Nrsimhadev the way Shishupal was. It's described that before Shishupal he could barely speak a few words, and he was, I hate Krishna, Krishna, I hate Krishna, Krishna. He was every day and night he would constantly curse Krishna. There is this absorption that is there. Actually, it's described in Bhagavatam that the residents of Ayodhya, they felt intense separation during the when Ram was leaving Ayodhya, and they were crying in ecstasy and they're feeling intense separation. But it said that there was one circumstance, and it was depending on the circumstances. But Krishna, Bilvamangal Thakur describes, is so amazing that the creepers, even the plants in Vrindavan, are feeling that intense separation and ecstasy daily, even when Krishna's there. So then again, the question is, wait, is this the same being? What's going on here? Why is it happening with Krishna and not happening with Nrsimhadev and not happening with Ram? It says that Hiranyakashipu, he saw Nrsimhadev. This must be some being that has a lot of punya, power due to his past pious credits. He did not recognize, there are two things that were lacking. He did not recognize Nrsimhadev as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor did he was absorbed in intense absorption of hatred. And Ravana, similarly. And what happened to Hiranyakashipu? He did get the benefit because he was killed by Nrsimhadev in his next life. He was born, due to the slight absorption that he had, he was born with great opulences and power beyond all the various demigods as Ravana. And similarly, Ravana was killed by Ram. And he did not recognize Ram he considered him as an ordinary man. And he did not have that same, he was absorbed in Sita, but he wasn't absorbed in Ram. And because of his absorption, slight absorption, he was born as the powerful king of Chedi, Shishupal. So there was different results. But then Shishupal, we see, this is a person who, like Maharaj Rena, who was a great antagonistic towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, great atheist, great envious person. As we hear that we cannot understand Krishna when we are envious. Now we might think, oh, I'm not envious. Who am I jealous of? Actually, we are the Shishupals. We might think, oh, I'm not jealous. But if you have hostility towards anyone, then you are a little Shishupal. You have oftentimes this word matsara or anusuya. It's not just a jealousy. It's talking about hostility. If you have bad feelings towards somebody, then you're not seeing that person is actually Krishna's part and parcel. You're having bad feelings towards Krishna. This is our own Shishupal issue. And so this is so Shishupal was absolutely absorbed in Krishna. Let's see here. I think there's some more of the purport. In each birth, they were completely absorbed in enmity. Now, Rupa Goswami describes that the enmity was not the same in each birth. There was more in the form of when he appeared as Shishupal, and were slain by him. Srila Prabhupada explains the position as follows. Now, Prabhupada actually, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, the conclusion that is given in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, he quotes that entire conclusion. If this is from the 5th chapter of the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, and Prabhupada, in the purport, he also summarizes that entire conclusion. That's not right here, but we'll mention that. Although Shishupal acted as an enemy of Krishna, he was not for a single moment out of Krishna consciousness. Of course, he was not anukulyena, he was not favorably disposed. He was always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, and thus he got salvation of Sayuja Mukti, merging into the existence of the Supreme Lord, and finally became reinstated in his original position of personal service. The Bhagavad Gita collaborates the fact that one who is absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Lord at the time of death immediately enters the kingdom of God after quitting his material body. Now, one may ask, well, what if you're not in a, what if you don't have this romantic death where you're on the deathbed and you have your bead bag in your hand and the devotees are surrounding you and they're chanting and you're Hare Krishna? What if it's like some tragic death? Do devotees die in tragic deaths? So in the Varaha Purana, it's described, the Lord says, if my devotees, Naham, no, not Naham Tishtami Vaikunti, there's another, I forget the verse, but it's, the Lord says, if my devotees fail to remember me at the time of death, then I will remember them. And this is also a question that Ramanujacharya had, or Yamunacharya, no, I think it was Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya had this question, and he went to the pujari of the Sri Ranganath temple, and he prayed to the pujari, I have 6 doubts. He didn't explain what those doubts were, but he said, I have 6 doubts. And can you pray to Sri, as a great pujari of Lord Ranganath, can you pray to the Lord, asking him to help me resolve these doubts? And then the next day, Ramanujacharya saw this pujari, and the pujari gave him 6 verses. He said, I don't know the questions, but here are the answers. And he gave him 6 shlokas that was given to the pujari by the Lord himself. And the same thing was given in that that the Lord says, if my devotee cannot remember me due to difficult circumstances at the time of death, then I will remember him. I will remember my devotee. 3rd and 7th cantos, Srimad Bhagavatam, elaborately describe the incident where the Lord's personal associates were cursed to become to the material world as his enemies. In this connection, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following verse, 7.147 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vairanu bhanda trivrena jayana chuta sama satmatam nitau purna hare parshvam jagmatur vishnu parshado. These 2 associates of the Lord, Jai and Vijay, maintained a feeling of enmity for a long time because of always thinking of Krishna in this way. They regained the shelter of the Lord, having returned back home, back to Godhead. So what is the conclusion by Rupa Goswami? He describes that the position of Krishna is understood in this way, not only from other scriptural statements, but even his effect that he has on his devotees, and the effect he has on others who are envious of him, who are hostile to him. And so it's described that Krishna exhibits an all-enchanting potency. Nrsimhadev is certainly the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna. But he is not, it's not that he's lacking, but he's not exhibiting all of his qualities. There's a difference there. He's not missing something. He's not exhibiting everything. It's just like when somebody goes to work and they put on their nice outfit. There's something that's being held back, some personal side of them that's not being exhibited, that may be shown at home or some other relaxed setting with friends. And so Krishna is not manifesting. So it says, Krishna, Nrsimhadev does not generally manifest this all-enchanting, supremely attractive potency. But Krishna exhibits this all-attractive, liberating potency that causes even those who deal with him in a hostile way to be absolutely mad, absorbed, obsessed with him. They can't think, you can't you have to be one side or the other. You can't think passively towards him. You have to be obsessed with him. You either like him or hate him, or love him or hate him. This is Krishna's all enchanting potency. Here we can read some quotes here. This is Shri Lagu Bhagavatamrita. Mhm. This is from the purport. Nrsimha is essentially the same person as Krishna. They're not different in Svarup or identity, but rather in guna, manifest qualities. When a Vaidurya stone changes color, it manifests a quality already contains within itself. In a similar way, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead wanted to free the universe of the threat of Hiranyakashipu, he manifested his form as Nrsimha. But if Lord Nrsimha is none other than Krishna, then why was Hiranyakashipu not liberated when killed by him? So this is explained by the father of Vyasadeva, Parshamuni to Maitreya Rishi in the Vishnu Purana. Parshamuni explained that when Lord Krishna kills a demon, he insinuates himself into the heart of a particular soul by the charm of his personality, names, and other attractive qualities. Lord Nrsimha, however, does not generally exert this liberating, all attractive influence on the fallen jivas who encounter him. And so we see his awareness. He did not see him. He saw him in the mode of passion, which distorts understanding. Now it's described that the halo, the aura of the Sudarshan chakra, as Krishna invoked this powerful Sudarshan chakra, it is that moment that Shishupal began to understand this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And his constant absorption actually purified him to the point where the envy was eradicated. And thus, he was completely purified. We can't approach Krishna we can't go to Krishna without that purified state. Actually, it describes that actual devotional service starts in the liberated stage. Just like fire can mix with fire, without becoming purified, we can't really mix with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We cannot really interact with him. Therefore, we need mercy. And we need mercy of Lord Chaitanya, especially, because we're very, very conditioned. We find, like, this is the Kartik Mas, and we know, okay, let me not do too many vrats because I will fail. This is because, why will we fail? Because all the anarthas are deep within the heart. And when we chant, therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, we can't chant lip deep. We have to chant heart deep. We got to get in there, because that's where the anarthas are. And therefore we have to chaito darpana marjanam. We have to go deep into the heart and clean the anarthas out. That's and that mercy becomes available as we find in the third verse, Trinada Pisanichina, when we approach the Lord in his holy name in a humble state of mind. That humility is like our container to capture that reservoir of mercy. So we have not so much humility. That's like we got a little teaspoon to get the mercy with. We got a little bit more humility. We might have like a half cup, or we might have a lota, depending on the depths of our feeling of humility and tolerance, and we can have access to that mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And so how can we have access to mercy of Lord Chaitanya? How can we approach Lord Chaitanya? We can meditate on his name. We can meditate on his form. We can, beautiful verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, katanchana smite yasmin dushkaram sukaram bhavet vismite viparitam shatshi Chaitanya namamitam. That if somehow or other we can remember the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, then difficult things become easy. And if we don't remember the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, then easy things become difficult, even the easy things. So that we can remember the Lord's form, his pastimes. Then we can also serve the Lord's form. We can serve his deity form. And then we can serve the Lord's mind, his mission. And what is the mission of the Lord? He wants to share this love that is experienced even by the creepers, the plants of Vrindavan. Actually, it's I believe it's Prabodhananda Saraswati. I think the book is the Chaitanya Chandramrita. And he says, it's not at all amazing. It's not amazing that Krishna lifted a mountain with his pinky. That's not amazing. What's amazing is Lord Chaitanya is distributing Krishna Prem, the highest thing, to anyone in Kali Yuga, simply those who take shelter of the Lord's holy names. So that's quite amazing. Actually, that's the real fruit of the Mahamantra. Haridas Thakur was with some assembly of brahmanas, and they were talking about the holy name, and someone was saying, "Oh, the holy name, it's so wonderful, it liberates you." And Haridas Thakur was like, "No, that's liberation. That's an insignificant. That's a byproduct. How dare you? There are yogis who are meditating for many lifetimes to achieve liberation. And you're saying this is just some byproduct?" And he said, yes, just as the fear of ghosts and thieves go away as soon, not after the sun rises, before the sun is even risen. Fear of ghosts and thieves have gone away, though, because before the sun rises, the sky is already lit up. And so similarly, and he gives the example of Ajamil, who was by Namabas, but not even the pure manifestation of the holy name, chanting the holy name, just the there's a verse, the paparazzi verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that even the paparazzis become purified. So Sab ek dosh char, hai papachar, paparazzi namahatan dahe tomar. That of course Jagan Madai, they had a great stock of sins, but even volumes and volumes of sins can be burned up by namabas, basatamari, by a dim reflection of your holy name. So Ajamil was chanting this in this fashion, in this dim reflection of the holy name, and he was certainly liberated, as the Bhagavatam illustrates. So this is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and we can try to get that mercy, distribute it to others, serve Krishna and his Vaishnavas, and in this way, hopefully, we can be recipients of the mercy. So I'll stop here. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Please share if you have some reflections or comments or questions.
Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. So what is paparazzi again? Sinful what?
Paparazzi means volumes of sins. Yeah.
Volumes of sins.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. That's my takeaway, paparazzi.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions, comments, please. Is that Jagannath Priya in the temple room? Jagannath Priya. He raised his hand. Come talk. He raised his hand.
I have a little detail here. When Krishna had slain the king of Chedi, the sky, though cloudless, poured showers of rain, and blasting thunders were hurled, and the earth began to tremble. There were some among the kings who spoke not a word during those unspeakable moments, but sat gazing at Janardana.
Yeah, when something dramatic happens, it always rains. That's the law of drama.
Yes.
Want to make something look dramatic? Put some rain in your setting. Okay. So, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu, you were describing so wonderfully how we all have these Shishupal tendencies within us. So, do we really have to go all the way down to become really, really lowly and sinful to be liberated? Uh, how does that work?
Well, as we
That's
hear,
principle.
there's different ways of learning, and the most advanced way of learning is just being able to hear the great instructions of Krishna's advanced devotees, Srila Prabhupada and his representatives, Bhakti, and our acharyas. And then by hearing, our hearts become transformed. Otherwise, we hear and we don't take it to heart, and then we get slapped around, and then maybe we take it to heart, or we just continue our life getting slapped around till we get some very harsh lessons. So oftentimes the lessons will come one, two, sometimes they'll come, the instruction will come, and the instruction will come, and the instruction will come, and then, oh, I guess the instruction's not helping. Here's a lesson. Because we're not ready to hear the instruction. Well, here's more of the tests part of the instruction. And just as the bitter coffee is used to refresh our nose when we go to a nice oil shop, the bitterness of that situation can give us a little bit of clarity and wake us out of our dream-like state. Have all the flavors have their emotional component. So bitter in balance, appropriate amount of bitter gives clarity. Too much bitterness brings one into a state of just a cycle of um, victimhood. Or um, the sour flavor. That's another the emotional component of sourness is it's a sharp flavor of discernment. Like here, we hear this story. It's talking in the beginning about making offenses, and um, so one should have discernment. But one is too sour, then one is looking at everything with a this mood of critique and gossip and critique and just manifesting the quality of enviousness. Then you have spicy, pungent, that creates some excitement, but too much of it, it's agitation, anger. Sweet, some contentment, but too much of it, complacement. Salty. What does salt do? Salt increases the flavor of all the flavors. So it adds some zest, but too much saltiness is like the salty sailor who comes back from the sea. He's going around looking to indulge everything with everything. He's chasing everyone, chasing all the ladies, trying to enjoy everything. The salty sailor. Sweet, sour, pungent. What is astringent? Astringent is that they're basically, out of the six flavors, there are three that are cooling, that are kind of self-reflective, and then three that are expanding, that are kind of looking out into this world. So astringent is that flavor of the unripe banana, which is the flavor that has the emotion of kind of introspection. But too much of that that kind of emotional aspect, that flavor, is like it's like the fear of the clammy ham of death going around your neck. It is that too much introspection to the point where you're just going like a philosopher who's going mad. So just like when we eat, we have to have a proper balance of our diet. We should also make sure we have a proper balance of our kind of emotional states in the service of Krishna.
Thank you, Nityananda Chandra. Okay, we need questions, reflections, please, dear devotees. This is Naimishranya Forest. You're supposed to ask questions. Okay, then I ask a question. If towards the end of our life we feel that we haven't done what we were called to do, maybe write a book or start a I don't know, an orphanage or something like that, some kind of higher calling. So, but we diligently try to chant Hare Krishna, try to become happy and satisfied by chanting. But those other things that we were thinking we were called to do, they were somehow or other left undone. So what should we do with all those callings that we have within us?
No.
Should we fulfill them, go for them, or just put them aside and just go for chanting Hare Krishna and be satisfied just by doing that?
So in this section of the Bhagavatam, Yudhishthira is dealing with a great ocean of desires. This is the Rajasuya Yajna. And if we were the recipients of the Rajasuya Yajna, we'd just go insane because it brings so much power, so much opulence, so much beauty. All these things come to you. And it's described that he was able to navigate that due to Krishna's mercy. And what was his purpose? He actually wanted to use his desires, his situation, was he wanted to use that situation as a glorification of Krishna. That those people who think that, oh, the devotees of the Lord are people who are poor and suffer. And he wanted to show, look, this is the devotees of the Lord, full of opulence and beauty and fortune. And so that's going to be discussed in the next chapter. We'll see. And in the previous chapter, or I think maybe early in this chapter, he's saying that his motive. Actually, chapter 72, he's saying his motivation, why he wants to do the Rajasuya Yajna, because he wants to do it as a glorification of Krishna. Not that, okay, I need to get rid of my opulences and power. Rather, I just need to take this situation. Oftentimes we may overestimate our advancement and underestimate the shelter that we need. So the shelter that we need is that we need to be in our proper situation and then use that situation in the service of Krishna. Like we hear that the Shudras, they only get married. They don't take sannyas. They don't even take vanapras. They don't even become brahmacharis. The Vaishyas, they just get brahmachari and grihastha life. The Kshatriyas, they never take sannyas because of their particular situation. They understand, okay, this is a shelter that's suitable for me. So one may think, oh, now I want to be really spiritual. I need to give up everything. But that might not be your suitable shelter. Your suitable shelter may be taking those desires and offering them to Krishna for the rest of your life. That might be what is your suitable shelter.
Thank you. Krishna Chandra Prabhu, he raised his eyebrows briefly. Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, good morning. I think I was going to say something, but I believe the point was made. But I just wanted to just add that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I believe, said renunciation is a matter of the heart, or there's no use taking renunciation if your mind is craving for material desires. So ultimately, you would not forsake your dharmic duties. You would only do that if you really did have the heart for it to really be like, let's say, a full-time devotee and do a certain service. Otherwise not. Your heart would have to be completely into it.
Thank you. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote this songbook under a pen name. What is that? Bal Sangit, where he's writing in the style of kind of Sahaja I'm going to say not a group, not like a institution, but the type of folks that were around during his time that were practicing very kind of degraded forms of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And in the songs, he's just encouraging them, don't become a Babaji and leave your wife and get a bunch of girlfriends. Just live an honest life. Just, work your job, have your wife, chant Hare Krishna. Don't become a Babaji with a bunch of girlfriends. Just live an honest life.
Thank you. Anybody wants to represent the hardline side of things? Any hardliners, please? We got the liberal side covered. Please. Adi Pusha, Prabhu, you know I'm talking about you. Please. It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm joking.
I mean, this class is so much more complicated and so far over my head, I can't possibly imagine how to contribute to it. I just prayed to show Prabhupada what to say, and he said, "You better be quiet." Sometimes
No, tell us what to do with our material desires.
we should approach someone like Nityananda Chandra and say, "How can we serve you?"
Okay. Okay, 803, by the way, yeah. Okay, thank you, Nityananda Chandra. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, turn on your cameras, please, if you can.
One of the 5 sweetnesses of Krishna is that everyone they all get liberated. That's Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says.
Eat and get liberated.
5 sweetnesses of Krishna. One of them is that whoever gets killed by Krishna gets liberated.
Oh, okay.
That's specifically that form of the Lord. Not every
Nice.
form of the Lord.
Nice. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. All right, dear devotees. So this is the takeaway. Be honest. If you love somebody, call them up and tell them, I love you. I love you, Jeffrey Eckler Prabhu.
You'll be getting a phone call later, Prabhu.
I'll call you separately to tell you that I love you.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't wait. Be honest. Don't wait. If you feel you're being called to do something, do it. Do it. Do it for Krishna as an offering to Krishna. This is honesty. Krishna Kumari, we love you. Thank you for your association. In fact, we love everyone on this call and on YouTube too. And we need them. This is Sankirtan movement, collective chanting. Okay, Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful week. Come again tomorrow. Haribol.
I think Isaiah's back.
Isaiah. Oh, hold it. Isaiah. Yes, exactly. Mr. Isaiah, where are you?
We had a week of engaging in the material world, and it took us out of our spiritual world. They were in a play all week, so we had late nights and everything.
A week of the material world?
Well, I mean, that took
We
us.
have lifetimes and
Yes.
lifetimes in the material world.
We stepped out of our spiritual world was the problem, but
Okay.
it was a fun play. Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you very much for completing our yagya for today. Thank you. Okay, Hare Krishna.